Hi everyone, welcome to my presentation on permanent magnet moving coil instrument. In this presentation, we are going to learn about the construction and working principle of permanent magnet moving coil instrument in detail. I am Swati Polasa, lecturer in Electrical and Electronics Engineering, Sanjay Gandhi Government Polytechnic, Adilabad. Getting into the presentation, we will just try view on types of ammeters and voltmeters. We can see that moving iron type meters, which we can have to measure both AC and DC, are of two types, attraction type and repulsion type. Then we have moving coil type instruments. They are also useful to measure both AC and DC quantities. Are of two types, permanent magnet type and electrodynamic type. Electrodynamometer, that's what we say. And hot wire type instruments are also useful to measure AC and DC. Induction type meters or instruments are also useful to measure AC and DC. They are also of two types, split phase and shaded pole type. We have electrostatic type for voltmeters only. So these are different types of ammeters and voltmeters. Now we'll see the construction of permanent magnet moving coil instrument. The coil has number of turns of thin insulated wires on a wound angular former, which is made up of aluminum. So here you can see we have already seen in our previous presentations that in an instrument, you're going to have a moving system. And of course, instrument cannot move along with the moving system. So we are going to have a stationary system. And inside the stationary system, we are going to facilitate a moving system to which a pointer is attached so that when moving system is moving, pointer will also move and thus shows us a reading, so that this is what we call indicating type of instrument has. Now we will discuss about the moving system here. A permanent magnet moving coil instrument name suggests that there should be a permanent magnet and there should be a moving system, which is a coil here. So the name is permanent magnet moving coil. Here, the permanent magnet is going to stay stationary to the fixtures, and then we are going to have a moving coil. First, let us discuss different parts of a moving coil, the moving system. The moving coil is having an iron core inside. And on the iron core, we will have an aluminum former. And on the aluminum former, we'll be having a coil wound in a rectangular. So here we'll have an aluminum former, which is a rectangular aluminum former. And on this, we will have wires. So there will be a coil wound on this aluminum former. Now this aluminum former needs a support, so it is carried on a spindle. You can see a thin rod. This is a spindle made up of hardened steel So this is a spindle, and to this spindle we have pointer attached, and this spindle needs support system. So it is supported by dual bearing system to stationary system. So this dual bearing J1 and J2 are stationary. Spindle is moving. That means there is a stationary part and moving part having an interface here and here. So it should be smooth interface. So we call it as a bearing. We have a dual there. We have discussed about this pivot dual bearing system in the last presentation. So we have that here. And we have two springs S1 and S2. That means permanent magnet moving coil system is going to have spring control here. We'll look at the plan of the meter. So this is a meter, and you are going to have permanent magnet here. We can have a horseshoe magnet, the completion of magnetic circuit using a yoke. And to this magnet, for the magnetic field to concentrate and so that there are no magnetic leakage, we have placed the shape of the magnet surface as you can see in the figure. There is a curvature of the pole shoe. This is what we call as pole piece. So pole pieces are attached to this permanent magnet so that the magnetic flux is concentrated in this air gap. And here you can see the same magnetic lines of force should start from North Pole towards South, moving towards South Pole, and it should be completed with the yoke or a horseshoe magnet. And we can see that because of the structure of this pole piece, of this structure, convex structure, we can see that magnetic flux density, magnetic lines of force is bent a bit and it travels through the core, and that means it is cutting the conductor and also the aluminum former, and then it is received by the South Pole. So this is how the magnetic lines of force are in the system. Now we can see that the coil is free to rotate in the air gap formed between the shaped soft iron pole piece of a permanent magnet and a fixed iron cylindrical. The cores serve two purposes. It intensifies the magnetic field by reducing the length of the air gap. So this core serves two purposes. One is it intensifies the magnetic lines of force, and another one is it makes the field radial and uniform in the air gap. Thus, the coil moves always to the at the right angle to the magnetic field. That's what is shown in the previous slide. Here, your coil is not seen, but you can see the magnetic lines of force. So that magnetic lines of force is exactly 90 degrees to the current carrying conductor inside the coil. The soft iron yoke is used to complete the flux path to provide shielding from any stray external fields. Now, hairsprings are used for carrying current and to produce controlling torque. So here, a better view of the permanent magnet moving coil. This should be a horseshoe magnet. This is a horseshoe magnet. And to the horseshoe magnet, which is in green color, light green, we have attached pole piece. And it's a shaped pole piece. And here you can see iron core, and to iron core we have former attached, and on the former we can have conductors. So that's how we have here. And to this is the spindle, top red color that you can see that should be carries the jewel bearing, and similarly you will have at the bottom. And this is the spindle, that should be a conical hole in the jewel bearing and a pivot to the spindle. So they are housed properly and they have a very good frictionless interface or less friction interface. And this is the support vertical. Now we'll look into the principle of working. The principle on which the permanent magnet moving coil instrument operates is that the torque is exerted on current carrying coil placed in the magnetic field. So here, this is the magnetic field. This is the core, and to the core we have coil. This is the coil which is wound on aluminum former, and you can see that the breadth of the coil is mentioned as B here, and length of the coil is not seen in this view because it's a plan top view. You can see it in front view. See here, this will be the length of the coil or conductor, and this is going to be the breadth. Now we will try to derive the formula for deflecting torque. So the moving system to move, it uses the principle that is mentioned here. That means a current carrying conductor, when it is placed in a magnetic field, will experience a force. You have many conductors. If we select the conductors that I am showing in the PPT, say they are carrying currents in the upward direction. So the current should be moving up in parallel throughout the braid, and it should be going down. So when the currents are upward in here, on the other side of the coil, current's direction will be downwards. Now when the currents are upward here, and you have magnetic lines of force like this, there is a force exerted on the conductor like this, radial. Sorry, not radial, it's tangential. So it is 90 degree to the flow of magnetic lines of force and also to the current as mentioned in Fleming's left-hand rule. Similarly, because the currents are in opposite directions, the force on the conductors or other side of the coil, we have opposite direction force acting upon the conductor. So when two opposite and equal forces are acting on an object like this, the object will tend to move. And that is what we call as it is exerted by a torque. So if we are moving it respect to the center, so from here the force is acting this way. So distance between the center and the point of action of force is B by 2. Now force on one side of the coil is given by F is equals to BIL. Actually, if we place one coil in one coil carrying conductor I, length L in a magnetic flux with flux density B, the force acting on the line or a conductor is BIL, but in our coil, we have n number of turns. So the total force is going to be sum of forces acting on each conductor of the coil. So we have just multiplied it with n. So this is the total force on one side of the coil. Now that one side of the coil which is supported at the center, which is having a distance of b by 2 from the axis of rotation. So the torque is force into distance from axis of rotation. So it is F here, and distance from axis of rotation is b by 2. So torque on one side of the coil is BILN into b by 2. The total deflecting torque exerted on the coil will be twice because we have two such torques which are in opposite direction. So it is helping the coil to move in circular motion. So we just added the 2 times of torque because both the torques are in same direction. Is equals to 2 into your B is missing. Let me write it. 2 into BILN into B by 2. So 2 and 2 gets cancelled out. So we are left out with BILN Newton meter. So the deflection torque is given by flux density into current carried by the conductor in the coil, length of the coil, it can be a mean length, and breadth of the coil, and number of turns. So your length of the coil and breadth of the coil in some books, it will be mentioned as BIA, surface area of the coil. So Newton meter. So this is how deflection torque is given. Now if we check out for an instrument, B is going to be constant, A is going to be constant, N is going to be constant because they can be changed only by replacing the things. So once an instrument is constructed, we cannot go on opening the instrument and changing them. So they are constant for an instrument. So we can replace this BIAN. So in this BIAN, BAN. So B, L into B, which is A, and N as a constant. So we can write that deflecting torque is equals to K1 into I. That means deflecting torque is proportional to I. So from this here we can say that the deflection torque is proportional to the current. Coming to the controlling torque, as we have seen in the construction in detail, the permanent magnet moving coil system has spring control. Spring does two jobs: carry the current and also to provide controlling torque. And we have also seen that in the previous slide. The controlling torque will increase as the deflection torque increases. And it is also mentioned that for a controlling torque system, the controlling torque is directly proportional to the angle of deflection. So keeping that in mind, the controlling torque on the movement of the pointer, controlling torque on the movement of the pointer over a scale is provided by two spirally wound phosphor bronze springs S1 and S2 at each end of the spindle S. Sometimes, now here the spring carries current and it also provides the controlling torque, which is proportional to the angle of deflection. And we can express the same mathematically as shown here. The controlling torque Tc is equals to Ks into theta because it is proportional. When I replace proportionality with equals to sign, I'll be having a proportionality constant multiplying the parameter theta. So Tc is equals to Ks into theta. Now we see that our moving system is experiencing two torques in opposite direction. At sometimes deflection torque from state of rest, deflection torque is very high. So our pointer will start moving over the calibrated scale. A pointer will come to rest only when there is opposition torque which is equals to the deflection torque. And as we have seen for this instrument, the opposition torque is the control torque. And it is also slowly increasing as the deflection torque is increasing. So pointer will come to state of rest only when the deflecting torque is equals to the controlling torque. So that is the condition for equilibrium. So the controlling torque is equals to deflection torque. Controlling torque is given by Ks into theta in terms of angle of deflection. And deflecting torque, it is given as K1 into I in terms of current. They both equals, then the pointer will come to rest. So from this, we can say that angle of deflection is equals to K1 by Ks into I. K1 is a constant, Ks is a constant, so I can just replace K1 by Ks is equals to K, which is another constant. So theta is equals to K1 into I. That is how we can say that the angle of deflection is proportional to current, which means the permanent magnet moving coil system is going to have uniform scale, and as it is, it can measure current and it can have the pointer moving only considering the current. So accordingly, we can have the calibration of the scale. Coming to the damping torque, for a permanent magnet moving coil system, damping is provided by eddy current damping. We have already seen that to provide an eddy current damping, we need a conductor moving in a magnetic field. So for that, we need a conductor apart from the coil. Coil is made up of a copper, which is a non-magnetic material, of course. Copper is not a ferromagnetic material. Sorry. Now coming to the aluminium, we place aluminium former, and on this aluminium former, we are going to have coil wound on it. So apart from the coil, we have another conductor with a good surface area, and that is aluminium former. So this conductor will cut the permanent magnet field. Hence, there will be EMFs induced in the permanent magnetic field, and because in the aluminium former, and because the width of the aluminium former is good, so we have closed path for the eddy currents to flow. So this causes eddy currents to flow in the aluminium former, and those currents will exert force on the former. This is by Lenz's law. This force opposes the motion producing it, thus damping torque is obtained. So such a damping is called as eddy current damping. So when the aluminium former moves with the coil in the field of the permanent magnet, a voltage is induced causing eddy currents to flow in it. These currents exert a force on the former by Lenz's law. This force opposes the motion producing it. Source causing the eddy current or EMF induction is motion. So it will try to oppose the motion. Thus, a damping torque is obtained. So here is another picture of permanent magnet moving coil instrument. This is a north pole, south pole. Inside you will have coil and a former. This is the spindle. We have pivot and jewel bearing at both the ends. We'll be having springs at both the ends. Here it is shown on the top. We'll be having it at the bottom too. And we have a pointer here. You can see some balancing weight this side. What happens if I don't have this balancing weight? To the spindle, we have attached a pointer, and pointer will be having certain weight. It will be under the effect of the gravity pull. So your pointer will tend to sag a bit. It will try to sag downwards a bit. It may touch the scale also. To avoid that, what we do is we will place a counterweight on the other side of the pointer. So this balancing weight will balance out the gravity pull over the pointer. The pointer will be moving on the scale. It is shown in this picture clearly. We'll be having a mirror here. The mirror is placed here. Why? Because we can, when we look into the reading, we have to take that reading where the pointer and the image of the pointer coincides. So that is essential to avoid the parallax error and hence the observational errors while taking the reading. We will look into some problems. Please go through the problem. The problem states that the coil of permanent magnet moving coil instrument has 60 turns on a former that is 18 mm wide. The effective length of the conductor being 25 mm. It moves in a uniform field of flux density 0.5 Tesla. The control spring constant is 1.5 into 10 to the power of minus 6 Newton meter per degree. Calculate the current required to produce a deflection of 100 degrees. Let me draw so that you will get a better understanding on the problem, what are given and all. We have a coil on a former. This is the former. On this former, we are going to have conductors like this. So now length of the conductor, that means this is the length of the conductor and it is mentioned as 25 mm. And wide, how much wide is our former? This is the width of the former. That means it is breadth of the conductor. And this breadth of the conductor is B. So it is mentioned here. While solving the problems, we have to make sure that we are taking L, B in meters. Flux density in Tesla or Webers per meter square. Current in amperes. Now we have in the problem, it says that it moves in the field of flux density 0.5 dis. So I'll just write down what are all the given things. So we are given L is equals to 18 mm. So I have to convert it into meters. So it is 18 into 10 to the power of minus 3 meter. And we have, sorry, this is the breadth. And length is 25 meters. So 25 into 10 to the power of minus 3 meters is the length. And flux density is 0.5 Tesla. And spring constant Kf is 1.5 into 10 to the power of minus 6 Newton meter per degree. Because it is mentioned in degree, our controlling torque will be Ks into theta. So we should be taking theta in terms of degrees. So we are lucky enough that here the angle of deflection is given in terms of degrees and it is given as 100 degrees. Now if we try to get into the solution of the problem, the total deflecting torque exerted on the coil PD is equals to BILN small b Newton meters. B is 0.5, I we don't know, L 25 into 10 to the power of minus 3, N it is 60. You can see in the problem, here we have N which is 60 and we have small b which is 18 into 10 to the power of minus 6 and we write it here. Then we are ready with the expression of deflecting torque. Then when we look into control torque of the springs, it is Ks into theta. K is given as 1.5 into 10 to the power of minus 6. Theta is 100 degree. Now at the equilibrium, what is asked in the problem? To calculate current required to produce a deflection of 100 degree. That means pointer should rotate through 100 degree and it should stop. And that stoppage of the pointer will occur only at equilibrium. That means when TD is equals to TC. And we'll just replace this TD and we'll replace this TC with the expressions that we have. come up earlier. So TD is equals to 0.5 into I into 18 into 10 to the power of minus 3 into 25 into 10 to the power of minus 3 into 60. And TC is here 1.5 into 10 to the power of minus 6 into 100. From this we have to solve for I. I is equals to 1.5 into 10 to the power of minus 6 into 100, which is mentioned here, divided by 0.5 into 18 into 10 to the power of minus 3 into 25 into 10 to the power of minus 3 into 60. Now, if you simplify this, you will get I is equals to 11.11 milliamperes. So, your meter that is meant, so our meter which is mentioned in the problem, when the current of 11.11 milliamperes is flowing through the coil, then the pointer will deflect through 100-degree Please note down the solution and problem. I'll give 2 minutes for that. Okay, we'll go for next slide. Here we have another problem. Let us go through the problem. Problem says that a permanent magnet moving coil instrument has a coil of dimensions 15 mm into 12 mm. So 15 mm is the length, 12 mm is the breadth of the coil. The flux density in the air gap is 1.8 into 10 to the power of minus 3 Weber per meter square, and the spring constant is 0.14 into 10 to the power of minus 6 Newton meter per radian. Determine the number of turns required to produce an angular deflection of 90 when a current of 5 milliamperes is flowing through the coil. So we have to design a meter on its number of turns, and our requirement is that angular deflection should be 90 when current is 5 ampere. So here we see that is the display. There you will have a pointer here. So this is our pointer, and there is our calibrated scale, and here it should be showing 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. By the time the pointer travels 90 degrees, say this is in milliamperes, it should show 5. That means the current carried by the coil is 5 milliamperes. If that is the case, so how many number of turns should the coil have is our question. First, let us write down given data. Given data. We are given with the dimensions. Let us take 15 as length. The length of the coil is 15 meters. Breadth is 1 milli. I am taking it as 10 to the power of minus 3 meters. The flux density in the air gap, which is B, which is 1.8 into 10 to the power of minus 3 Weber per meter square. And we have our, we are given with spring constant here 0.14 into 10 to the power of minus 6 Newton meter per radians. So determine the number of turns. So I don't know n. Angular deflection. Yes. How much is the angular deflection? It is 90 degrees. So remember, it is given in degrees, not in radians. But our spring constant is mentioned in Newton meter per radian. So when I'm using both of them together, I should convert this angular deflection from degrees to radians. How to convert these degrees to radians? I have to multiply it with pi by 180. As you know, pi radian is same as 180 degree. Okay? So 1 degree is same as pi by 180 radian. So 90 degree should be same as 90 into pi by 180 radian. This is how we convert degree to radian. So that's how we just converted degree to radian, and we are given with the current I is given 5 milliampere. Milli should be converted 10 to the power of minus 3. Now we'll go further. For solution, total deflecting torque total deflecting torque exerted on the coil. We know the formula VILMD. We know the data. We know B. We know I, L, B. We don't know N. We'll just keep N as it is. So this is just the basic there. So here 1.8 into 10 to the power of minus 3, 5 milliampere, current, length 16 into 10 to the power of minus 3 is there here, and breadth is 1.8 into 10 to the power of minus 3. Breadth is 12 into 10 to the power of minus 3, and N we don't know. We'll just leave it as it is. And we'll go for calculation of control torque of springs. It is given by Ks into theta. Ks 0.14 into 10 to the power of minus 6 Newton meter per radian, and multiply it with the angle in radians, so 90 into pi by 180. At equilibrium, TD is equals to TC. So I'll just place this whole expression here and TC expression on the other side of the equation. I'll solve for N. That means take all these numbers to other side. So they are will be dividing. So this is how we get. When we simplify it, I'll get N as 135.67 something like this. I have to round it to next higher level, next higher number. So it is going to be 136. So now we have to take 136 number of turns and make a coil for the instrument mentioned in the problem, so that we can have the deflection of 90 degree when the current flowing in the coil is 5 milliamperes. Hope you got the solution. Please note it down. I'll give you 1 minute time. Okay, now we'll have a quick recap of what we have learned in this presentation. So we have learned the construction and working principle of permanent magnet moving coil. Now, the construction of moving coil is we are going to have a horseshoe magnet like this, and to the horseshoe magnet, we are going to attach pole pieces of convex shape like this. Having these pole pieces is first one to reduce the air gap between magnetic field and the rotating moving system. To reduce the air gap, we require these pole pieces. And another one is to, magnetic lines of force concentrated without any leakages to other side. Magnetic lines of force will be concentrated here, so that the magnetic lines of force is exactly making 90 degrees with the conductor of the coil. This soft yoke, what we have, there will be a soft iron yoke here. It is used to complete the flux path, like north to south, travel whole part, and then again come back north to south like this. It will complete the flux path, magnetic circuit. And another reason is from external, if we have any magnetic lines of force, they are not entered inside and not allowed to disturb this moving system. So it will act like a shielding from external means. We have hair springs used here for controlling purpose. The moving system is carried by this spindle, which is supported by dual bearing at the top and bottom. These springs does two works. One is to carry the current in and out, and another one is to provide controlling torque. If we see, there we'll have terminal boxes. This hole should be in meter box, and you're going to have terminals from where you are going to connect it to the external circuit. Inside, this will go to one spring and this will go to another spring. So here, when current is starting from this point, so this is external circuit. Suppose this is at higher potential, this is at lower potential, and we are supposed to measure this current. Say the current is coming, it will get into the spring, and then it will flow to the moving coil, and again through the spindle it will go to spring here, and it will come out from the spring, and it will return back for the completion of the electrical circuit. This is how the hair springs are used for carrying the current. And the other job it does is it produces the controlling torque. It does both the works. Okay. Now, this is again, we have seen how it works, and we have also seen the deflection torque formula. It is BILNB Newton meter or BIAN Newton meter, where A is L into B. And we have seen that in PMMC, deflection torque is proportional to I. Controlling torque, because we are having spring control, controlling torque is equals to Ks into theta. That means controlling torque is proportional to deflection angle. Damping is provided by eddy current damping. We'll be having a balancing weight to balance out the gravity effect on the pointer. And we have also seen some problems, how to take the values involved, and when to convert angle of deflection from degree to radian. We have seen that one also. The optimistic learning outcomes of this presentation expected would be: the student should be able to describe the construction of permanent magnet moving coil system and should be able to explain the working of permanent magnet moving coil system, its instrument, and solve simple problems on deflecting torque. PD is equals to NBIA. Here, N is number of turns, B flux density, I current through the coil, A is L into B, length into breadth of the coil or the aluminum former. Both means the same. Hope you have learned about these three topics today from this presentation. Thank you so much.